Chapter 2. The Search for a Site. On steamer Morning Star on the Cumberland River, June 13, 1904. Elder A. G. Daniels, Washington, D.C. Dear Brother Daniels, we are returning from our trip up the river to look for land suitable for schoolwork. We went from Nashville to Carthage, a distance of about 170 miles by the river and 78 miles by rail. We looked at several places, but the fertile land up the river is altogether too high in price for us to think of purchasing it for school purposes. Tomorrow morning we shall reach Edgefield Junction, which is only 12 miles from Nashville. We shall stay there for the rest of the day, for we wish to visit a farm which is for sale at Madison, about 9 miles from Nashville, and 2.5 miles from the railway. It is said that this farm contains nearly 100 acres of good bottomland, more than 100 acres of second-quality agricultural land suitable for grain and fruit, and about 200 acres of pasture land. We think that it can be purchased for about $12,000. It is said that there is on it over $2,000 worth of stock and farm implements. I desire to look at this farm, and if it be the will of the Lord, I shall do so tomorrow afternoon. The farm has a roomy house, barns, and other buildings, and 2.5 miles of good stone fence. Considering its advantages, its price is less than anything else we have seen in this part of Tennessee. We should enter at once upon the establishment, in suitable places near Nashville, of a school for white people and a school for colored people. The workers in Nashville will gain influence from these working centers. The teachers in these schools can help the work in Nashville. I have been instructed that the land on which our school shall be established should be near enough to Nashville that there might be a connection between the schools and the workers in Nashville. Further than this, there are in Nashville large institutions for the education of the colored people, and our colored school is to be near enough to these institutions for the wing of their protection to be thrown over it. There is less inclination to oppress the colored people in this section of Tennessee than in many other parts of the South. Prejudice will not be so easily aroused. The institutions that have been established for the education of the colored people are richly endowed, and are in charge of white men. The presence of these institutions was one reason why Nashville was designated as the place in which the printing office was to be established. I was instructed that the work in the South should have every advantage to print and publish books, that this work might gain a standing far ahead of that which it has had in the past. Suggestions have been made by some that it might be well to sell our property in Huntsville and move the school to some other place. But I have been instructed that this suggestion had its birth in unbelief. Our school in Huntsville is in a good location, and the large state normal school for the training of colored teachers, which is carried on not far from there by those not of our faith, has created an influence in favor of educating the Negro, which our people should appreciate. We should have in Huntsville facilities for the education of a goodly number of students. We should have a primary school and a school for more advanced students. It would take years to build up in a new place the work that has already been done in Huntsville. My soul is stirred within me as this matter is presented to me. I have not yet been to Huntsville, but I have an article written regarding what should be there in the future. We must plan wisely. God will go before us if we will look to Him as our counselor and our strength. We need to get away from our selfishness and begin to work for the Lord in earnest.